Good morning and welcome to the Oasis Center for Spiritual Living, where we come together as one, providing spiritual tools for daily living. For those of you who don't know me, I am Reverend Tucker. I am the senior minister here at the Oasis, and I have this great team that God has provided me that I always like to introduce because I couldn't do this without them. Let me start with my faithful assistant, Faith. Faith has been my assistant since the day she was born, really. She used to come up on the podium and do announcements with me. We'd sit her on the podium and she would help me do announcements. And then later on, she and her sister grew up and they started doing affirmation cards at the end of the service, like ushers. And for the last 5 years, she's been my official assistant. And in that time, she has graduated from high school, turned 18, got her own apartment, and living the life of an adult now. But still, she's here with us. Thank you. Thank you, God. She's the person behind the scenes that does all of the, like when you say good morning, hello, hi, she answers you. And I always go back later and kind of just look around and make sure that there aren't any questions that need to be answered or whatever. But she knows me better than I know myself almost, because she's grown up 6 blocks away from my house and spent a lot of time at my house. So usually she is right spot on. And she is our soloist. And today we have an unknown song. Literally, we cannot find the song. Lynn did it years ago in church, and we've been trying to find it the entire time, and we cannot find it. So I wrote down the lyrics from him singing it, and she sang it a couple of years in a row. So it is First I Plant a Seed. So thank you for being here. Faith, we couldn't do this without you. Literally, we couldn't do this without you. All right. And then there is my partner, the wise and powerful Oz. He was my first baby practitioner, and he took all of his training with us, except for one class, I think. And then he was my board president for many, many years. And then he decided to retire and move to Florida. So we lost our ability to have him on the podium with us. So we're so glad for this technology, because now we've had him here with us for 2 years almost. So thank you for being here, Oz. He prays us in and prays us out, and at the very end, he does our 1-minute miracle, which I'll talk more about later. But we're so blessed to have this time. So thank you, both of you, for being here. All right. And then I always like to mention our adjunct music team. They don't appear on screen with us, but they have provided music for us. And that is Karen Drucker and Reverend Ferry Elaine Silver. And both of them have provided us with their entire works. And it is just so wonderful that we have the ability to sing their music, because Facebook does cut us off if we try to do any popular songs. They tell us there's a copyright claim or something like that. And then they mute us, which is horrible, because nobody gets to hear the music. So we are in our series of Back to Basics, and that is the first 4 chapters of the Science of Mind textbook. And last week we talked about the thing itself. Today we're going to talk about the way it works. So stay tuned. And I know you're going to love this. The Back to Basics series is great for people who are just joining this philosophy or just tuning in to see what it's about. And it's also good for those veterans who have been in this philosophy for quite a while, like a Tai Chi master who practices the same 7 moves their entire life. This is what we do. We do the basics. So anyway, that's all I'm going to say for now. I will get into more of it later. Let me get there we go. I always flip that top page of the announcements away, or the order of service away, and then I have to remember to put it back. Say hi, hello, good morning if you're here. If you're here in real time, definitely say that. If you are visiting later on, please just drop a note and say hi. We like to know who visited. When I'm in a facility, I can look out and see the shining faces, and I know who's here. We don't have that ability with the software. It's great software, but there are always limitations of something. So that's one of them. And if you'd like to do a watch party, that's a great way for your friends to see what kind of sermons they can expect, what we do in our service. And particularly with this series, gives them idea of what we teach. So hit that watch party button and invite all your friends. You can talk amongst yourselves because you can't bother anybody, so you can answer their questions if they have any. My goodness, I have the hiccups all of a sudden. Must be because I'm not drawing in more breath. I'm using up all my breath and not drawing in some. All right, I would like to invite you to close your eyes if that feels comfortable. Allow the service to uplift and inspire you as we move into our centering song.
Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can feel the rush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can feel the rush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place.
The presence of God right here, right now. For God, as we understand it, encompasses all being, from the smallest subatomic to the greatest intergalactic space. It is all one being, one power, one presence that we think of as God. And by that infinite and eternal and ever-present being, it must be right here, right now, in us as us. It logically follows that we are each expressions of that one great source, that one being that is God. And I know that its presence works through me and through you at this time and for all time. And I know that its presence works through our service, touching hearts and lives. And I know this is good and very good, and I let it be so, and so it is.
And so it is. I said and so it is before I clicked on it. Oh, goodness. Good old technology. This next song is We Are All One, and it is a Reverend Fairy Lane Silver song, and she wrote it while she was in practitioner training, and it is the epitome of what we teach, that we are all connected, we are all one. And so if you know the words, sing it loud, sing it proud. If you don't know the words, learn them. It's a great way to remember that you are connected to all of life.
We are all one, we are all one, we are all one in it. I hear it and know it, my being. Spirit is all I am seeing, for God is all there is. Grateful am I to be living, open to what I receive, honoring what I've been given, sharing now what I believe. I remember the oneness around me. I surrender to infinite light, knowing the love that's surrounding me is within me. by day and night. And we are all one. We are all one. We are all one in it. Yes, we are all one. We are all one. We are all one in it.
Okay, so if you are here, please say hi, hello, good morning, however you like to greet us. If you're joining us later, just tuning in, just drop a line and say hi. That way we know someone has visited. We like to know that. If you like something that you hear, whether that be something I say or something Faith sings or something that Oz prays, by all means use that like button, that thumbs up. If you love something that you hear, send us some hearts because we love to get love. And if something strikes you as very, very powerful for you, please use the wow button. It gives us feedback so we know we're on track. That feedback is very, very important to us. So without further ado, here is Faith singing First I Plant a Seed. Maybe. Let's see. I think Faith has frozen up. You there, sweet? Now, let's see. Give her a minute to... Okay, well, we'll sing a little bit later then. That works for me. Let's see. As I said, we're doing the Back to Basics series. And the Back to Basics series is about how to use these principles to make a better life for yourself. And so the first 4 chapters of the Science Mind textbook, which is what we do, the basics. The first one is the thing itself, the way it works, what it does, and how to use it. Excuse me. So last week we talked about the thing itself. And we said the thing itself was God in us, through us, as us. That's the thing itself. There's a divine blueprint that lives within us. And so I think we have Faith back, and I'm going to let her sing before I go any further. There she is.
All right. If anybody knows where the song came from, please let us. I really love to have music with this. But here we go. Corner of my mind, and I kindness, and I want.
You're freezing up. So I'm going to let you sing at the end. How's that, Faith? I'll take her off, and I'll just let her know. Okay. All right. So as I was saying, last week we talked about the thing itself, which is that there is a divine blueprint that lives within us. That is the love of God inside of us. The heart of God beats within our heart. The love of God lives itself through us. The life of God is who and what we are. And we talked a little bit about how we don't believe in a God out here, but one inside of us, and that everything that we do is about God working through us, okay? And that's all we're focusing our attention on is the life of God within us. So today we're going to talk about the way it works. And the way it works is love and law. Now, love has been an interesting concept for Dr. Ernest Holmes to learn, because it's not that he wasn't loved. His mother loved him very much, and his wife was our first practitioner in our movement. And so he he was loved, and I'm sure he felt loved, but I don't think that he understood love very well. So the genesis of our faith comes from first his experience with Ralph Waldo Emerson, transcendentalist. And Ralph Waldo Emerson talked a lot about an oversoul and how we participate in God through that oversoul, and the circles of life, and all of those essays that Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote really inspired Dr. Ernest Holmes to look into religion more thoroughly and understand spirituality. And from that, he then went on to find the works of Judge Thomas Troward, who was an English judge in India. And in order to be more impartial with his judgments, he felt like he had to understand the Indian people more clearly. So he started studying their religion and trying to understand their customs and all of that. And the Indian people just adored him because of that. Because when he passed judgment, they knew that he took into account all of those things. And so when Dr. Ernest Holmes found him, he, let's see, I'm going to turn on my little heater here for a minute. I didn't think it'd be possible to need my heater, but my legs are actually chilly. And so he started traveling after he studied spiritual law, which, when you think about it, a lawyer or a judge is going to understand law really well. And so a lot of his writings had to do with spiritual laws. And that's where Dr. Ernest Holmes got the concept of spiritual laws. So he started traveling around the country talking about spiritual laws and how we can utilize them in our life. And it wasn't until much later that he discovered the works of Emma Curtis Hopkins, who was a mystic. She had her beginnings as a writer for Mary Baker Eddy in Christian Science, and found out that Christian Science just did not work for her. And so she went off and formed her own thing, which was a school of mysticism. And all it was about was God's love. It really was all about that. And so for the first time, Dr. Ernest Holmes had a real concept for the love of God. And so in the beginning, he had an Institute of Religious Science because he was really enthralled with the idea that spiritual law could be utilized by any religion. So he would invite people of all faiths to come to his Institute of Religious Science and learn about spiritual laws and take it back to whatever faith they were in. Now, a lot of churches didn't allow them to practice those spiritual principles. It went against whatever they taught. And so he found that people were searching for a church, and his followers decided that he must have a church. And so here today we have churches. He was really hesitant and reluctant to do church because that was not an experience he enjoyed, was churches. I'll get to that in a minute. But because his followers were demanding it, he went ahead and did that. So God is the name that we give to universal law, just like gravity is the name that we give to a physical law. For instance, any spiritual law, any physical law must be impartial and impersonal. Now, some people find that version of God not as comforting as I do. I like it because, let's talk about gravity, for example. Gravity works the same for everyone, or electricity. No matter who you are, if you turn on the switch and then turn it off, the electricity is going to work. It doesn't matter whether you're black, blue, white, purple, yellow, red. It doesn't matter what color you are, what gender you are, whether you're gay or straight, whether you are fluid or not. It doesn't matter. It is going to work the same for everyone. And for that reason, to me, that is very comforting. I had this experience when I was in Tennessee. My mom is originally from Knoxville, Tennessee. And when I was 18, I was living in this apartment building, and the people down at the bottom corner cleaned the apartments when people moved out. And I got to know her and her kids, and we all became friends. And they were making a journey to Tennessee to see their relatives and asked if I wanted to go. And I was real excited to do that because I wanted to see where my mom came from. Now, my mom was from the hills, but up above Knoxville. And these people live in the hills. I mean, way up in the hills in Jellicoe, Tennessee. Jellicoe sits on the border of Tennessee on one half of the town, and I think it's Kentucky on the other side of the town. But as you go up into the mountain, it is way, way up there. And these people are real interesting because they are, life up there is very different from how we experience our lives. For instance, this lady that we stayed with had never had electricity in her life. Now, I've been raised with electricity. I don't know what it's like to live without electricity. I've had experiences where I've had to do without for, a few hours, but I've never lived that way. So here, imagine, at 18, I go out into this woman's house, and she was funny. She really appreciated the electricity. They had just gotten it a few months earlier. And she kept, like, 15 times a day, she would walk over and flip a switch and go, see here, I turn this on and light comes on. And then she'd go over to the other side of the room and she'd turn it off and she'd go, and then I flip this switch and it turns off. Isn't that a miracle? And so I really got a sense at that point how fascinating it is that electricity doesn't seem to care whether you are up in the hills in Jellicoe, Tennessee, or you're down here using it like we use it now. Like I use Google Home. Hey, Google, turn on this light. Oz uses Alexa the same way, or whether you're flipping a switch, it just doesn't matter who uses it. And that's what I love about spiritual law, because it's the same, just like gravity. With gravity, yes, if you're up in the, ethers, it doesn't work as well. But here on Earth, gravity is absolutely the same for everybody. It's not, oh, hey, you're gay, you're going to go up into the sky, or, you are, you practice witchcraft, so you're going to go down to the bottom. It's not like that. Gravity affects everyone equally, and it's impartial. And that's what I love about spiritual laws. So even gravity, electricity, all of that is impartial. And spiritual laws are impartial. Doesn't matter who uses them. They work the same for everybody. And there's some principles we have to keep in mind, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit, that influence how well you can use them. But basically, for our birthright is that anybody can use the spiritual laws equally. And then the other part of it is impersonal. And, I know for some people that is not going to be comforting. For me, it's very comforting. I was raised in an Orthodox Jewish synagogue. And I found myself this is why Dr. Ernest Holmes really, I really relate to him. Because I was raised in a place where they believe that although the bloodline runs through the woman and she's important because of that God prefers men and boys over women. Because remember, we're sinful because we were the first, Eve was the first to eat the apple and then manipulate Adam into eating the apple of the knowledge of good and evil. And so because of that, we are punished by having, bad menstrual cramps and the painful childbirth and all of that. But the other piece of that is that men have a more special place in the eyes of God. And so being raised with that as a little girl, that was a very difficult thing for me. Some women are able to get past that and be okay with that. And I celebrate them that they can do that. I personally could not. So I was kicked out of a lot of Sunday school or a lot of Hebrew school classes. I was always, the Jewish faith says, question everything, but not that. And so I would question it. I would say, that doesn't make any sense to me, this or that or the other thing. It wasn't just the gender thing. It was other things that I would say, that doesn't make any sense to me. And then off to the rabbi's office, I'd be sent and then sent home. And the reason I relate so much to Dr. Ernest Holmes is his experience of church was just like that. He became the human question mark because he never just accepted information in. He always challenged everyone about why is that so? And he was a real critical thinker. And we don't, as a general rule, churches don't teach critical thinking. We in religious science do. We teach that the only way you can know truth for yourself is to examine it, research it, play with it, like in a laboratory, experiment with it, and come up with your own result, because we all have free will, right? And so we believe in critical thinking, but back in those days, they did not believe in that. And every time he would question or challenge the minister or pastor, he'd be thrown out of that church. So I can really relate to him because, like I said, I got kicked out of Hebrew school all the time. But I love the idea that God is not a person, that God is not some wise judge up in the sky with a white beard and white robes and white hair, and, prefers men and boys over girls and women. And so when I say that God is impersonal, I think of it as no preferences. I think of it as no matter who you are, God loves you the same as everyone else. We are born with that. We don't have to earn it. We are born with the innate DNA in our bodies for God to love us. Now, I'm not talking about the kind of love that we have for each other here on the planet, romantic love, family love. I'm not talking about those kind of loves. I'm talking about what I see as like a big funnel. God's love comes down through us, and then we have another funnel out through our heart, and that's how we love others. When I talk about God's love, that's the kind of love I'm talking about, that it just flows through us. We're an open channel through which that love is received and given. We live in a reciprocal universe, and because of that, we must be able to receive that love as well as give it in order to participate in the reciprocity of life. So there's nothing that you could ever do to lose God's love. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to deserve it, because you already deserve it, because God made you of itself, in the image and likeness of itself. And true unconditional love that we seek in relationships is actually seeking God's unconditional love, because no one on earth can give that to us the way God can. We're attracted to people in relationship because we inherently know that God lives there as much as it lives in us. And so it's kind of like God is attracted to God. So that attraction actually is there. It's not like we consciously know, hey, I know God's in that person, so I'm going to be attracted to that person. That's not quite how it works. But unconsciously, we know, we feel that. And that's what the attraction is. And we're trying to reveal more of that divine love unconsciously, just trying to find that perfect conduit through which God's love can come to us. But remember, we have to be receptive. We have to be willing to receive as well as give. And when we realize this, we stop expecting the other person to behave a certain way for us to feel loved. See, we're looking for that other person to provide what is God's and only God's to provide us. We just happen to think that this other person has to act a certain way in order for us to feel that. And as long as we're attached to love coming in a certain way, to be packaged in a certain way, to look a certain way, feel a certain way, have certain actions that come with it, God can't come through any of those ideas. God's love can't make it through. And so we aren't able to receive. I want you to participate with me in a quick, just a really quick exercise that's going to illustrate that. I'm kinesthetic, so I like everybody to have a physical experience of everything. Not everybody is kinesthetic, but so if you want more money in your life, for example, you have to release stuff in order for that to come through. So If you want love, you have to release any anger or resentment or hatred. If you want health, you have to release anything, any beliefs that keep you stuck in those ways of disease and ill health. So here's the thing. I want you to take in a nice deep breath with me. Come on. And hold it. And take in another deep breath. And hold it. Don't release it. Take in another deep breath. Okay, go ahead and release. You can't take any more in. So that is reciprocity. That is a reciprocal universe that we know that we must always be willing to receive and open to receive, but we also need to be willing to give and release in order for that flow to go through us, right? It's a steady flow, but it needs that receptive open channel to come in. And it also, our funnel gets clogged up because we haven't released stuff. And so, if we are holding something against someone or something we haven't forgiven, or if we are stuck in beliefs that don't serve us, all of that stuff everything is stuck and it can't get through. And the love of God is the same way. There's just no way that we can receive God's love if we have all this stuff that is impeding the flow of it, right? And so I always like to say that we have to prepare our mental equivalent. Now, you're going to ask me, or you're going to think to yourself, what is a mental equivalent if you're new here? Let me give you a couple of examples of mental equivalent, just so you see how it operates in your life, okay? If, say, someone like the Olsen twins, who have been raised with money all of their lives, if we were to take them and put them on an island that was deserted, if there was some way for them to make money on that island, they would be fine. They would just make a lot of money. You take someone like you or I or anyone else who has not been raised with that consciousness of wealth, with that mental equivalence of wealth, and we'd struggle a little bit. Some of us might enjoy it. I might enjoy it. My sister probably would too. Enjoy being on a deserted island for a time. But being able to recreate wealth is something you must have a mental equivalent for in order to do that. And most of us who have not been raised with that wealth do not have that mental equivalent that says wealth is just something that's there and it's available to me. The same thing happens with love. The same thing happens with health. You take someone like, let me think. What is his name? I used to work for him. Okay. Anyway, he swam from Alcatraz, pulling tugboats. You know who I'm talking about? Jack LaLanne. Yeah, I used to work for Jack LaLanne in one of his clubs. And Jack LaLanne was a very sickly, weak, skinny, scrawny little guy when he was growing up. And he got picked on a lot. And he decided at some point in his life that he did not want to deal with that anymore. And he decided to become fit and exercise, and he focused his entire life on health, nutrition, and exercise. And he became one of the strongest people on the face of the planet. And he would do things like I said, like swim from Alcatraz, towing these boats with his mouth. He had a tow rope in his mouth and he would swim. He did all of these kinds of feats to show what is possible. Now, if he didn't have a mental equivalent for it in the beginning, he developed a mental equivalent for it and then began to teach all the rest of us how to live our lives so that we could be the best us that we can be. Okay, so that's the mental equivalent. It's important to recognize that, because if you don't have a mental equivalent for something, you won't be able to create it. Now, when I say create, I want us to understand the process of creation. I'm going to put a little thing up in a minute that's going to help us with a visual. But here's the thing. The creative process is the preponderance of our thoughts, okay? We have something like 400 thoughts a minute, and I'm not consciously aware of, but maybe a quarter of those. Most of those thoughts, 3/4 of those thoughts, are unconscious. And so, and it's probably a good thing that that's true, because think about it. If you actually were conscious of every single thought that you had and you created from it, it'd be like, I want that. No, I don't. Yes, I do. No, I don't. Yes, I do. No, I don't. And can you imagine things popping in and out as you're having these thoughts? It's there, then it's gone. Then it's there, then it's gone, right? And so the thought itself, one thought by itself can't do much. But the preponderance of your thought, the things that you focus in your attention on the most, those are going to be the things that create. And in the world that we're living now, this isn't going to be a pleasant idea here. In the world that we're living in now, I mean, I look at the world a lot of times and I say, oh my God, I just don't even recognize the world I live in. But because I'm aware of it, I participated in it. Okay. So it's not that I single-handedly created COVID. No, I didn't do that. Collectively, somehow we created the pandemic. And when I say this, I don't say it like we're blaming ourselves for it. Please understand. Here's the difference between blame and responsibility. Okay. Watch my posture. Oh my God. Look at what I created. I'm just stuck in it. I can't do anything about it. Right. Versus my posture when I say, okay, I created this and now I can uncreate it. So I have the power to uncreate that which I have already created. You see, that's responsibility. So when I say we're responsible for the world we are living in, that's what I'm talking about. Now, I can't single-handedly rectify the world. I can't change your experience of the world. I can't change anybody's experience in the Ukraine. I can't do that. What I can do is I can clean out my consciousness and have a different experience myself. And as we collectively do that, we birth the second coming of Christ. Because I think that the second coming of Christ is not necessarily him coming back in a person. I think it is that we as a collective unit finally get the lesson that Jesus was trying to teach us, that the Christ lives within us, that is the power and the presence and the life that lives in us. That's the Christ consciousness. And that to me is the second coming of Christ, when the majority of the world gets that lesson and says, yes, the Christ lives within me. When we're to that point, then we can create a reality collectively that is going to wipe out things like the war in Ukraine, the pandemic and our experience of it, the monkeypox that's coming up now, even all of these things that we thought polio was gone. All of these things are now coming up. And it's a lesson for us, not that God gave us this lesson. Please understand, I don't believe that God assigns lessons to us or tests. I think we set ourselves up to learn stuff. And we're the ones creating the test. We're the ones creating the lesson plan. And so we have these experiences to teach us how to stay focused on principle, how to stay focused on the thing itself, God, how to stay focused on the way it works, using the love and law to create a better reality for ourselves. And when we all get that, when we all are in that state of mind where the Christ consciousness is what is all of our focus, it becomes our reality. And that's when all of that other stuff goes away, because the power of God is underneath everything. We just have to acknowledge that it's there. Okay. All right. So not real quick. I mean, this is really the focus of this talk. I want to go over this teaching symbol. I did a little bit last week, but our teaching symbol is the process of creation itself. So this is the circle represents the unbroken unity of God, no beginning, no end. That it is a cycle. Remember the circulation, the reciprocal universe. That is all contained within that one circle of giving and receiving, of life coming to us and protruding from us, if you want. And so there's two ways I want to talk about this symbol. The first way I'm going to talk about is the process of creation as God. Even though you can't part out God, I'm going to, for illustration purposes, I'm going to talk about God in parts. So the upper part, you'll notice it's in three parts. The upper part is the conscious mind of God, the idea that thought us into being, this planet, this reality, this universe. God thought that into being through its conscious thought of creation. The middle portion, that part of it is God itself, the stuff of God, if you will. In our foundations class that's coming up, we do an exercise with Play-Doh where we illustrate to ourselves on a physical, in a physical way, how we create. And so that stuff that's in the middle there, the stuff of the universe, is God itself, and it made us out of that stuff. Everything in the universe is made of that stuff. Now, quantum physics calls that stuff, molecules and matter. That quantum physics says everything is made of the same matter. The only difference is how fast the molecules bump up against each other as to how more solid it's going to be, or how liquid. Like the air has very little solidity. And so those are molecules that are slower bumping together. And this desk that I'm sitting at, the molecules are bumping together really, really, really fast and creating this solid reality. And so that is the stuff of the universe that quantum physics talks about. We just say that it's God stuff, and it made itself out of itself through its thought process. And here we are at the bottom. We are that physical reality that is created through God's conscious mind working through itself, creating itself out of itself as physical form. That is us, our universe. And the V represents that eternal process, which is the conscious thought moving through subjective material into physical form and returning back into the nothingness from which it came. So that is the creative process as we know God. Now let's talk about it on an individual level. Think about the same thing, okay? The top part is our conscious mind, where we have the idea, and then the subjective mind is like a computer hard drive. It stores everything that we have ever experienced and all of our reactions to that experience. When I say that thought is creative, it is also powered by emotion. I like to think of it as thought is the vehicle and emotion is the fuel that fuels that vehicle. And so all of the emotions are in that middle section there. And so all the affirmations in the world, if they meet resistance in that subjective mind because of experiences we've had, is not going to produce something in that physical realm down below, right? So we have this situation where the V goes from conscious mind to subjective mind and bounces back into the nothingness. And it does not create anything in that physical realm. That's why we spend so much time in our philosophy talking about what are our beliefs that are limiting us? What are our feelings that are keeping us from being able to create? Faith is something that I have faith that the sun will rise every day, even if there's an eclipse. If I just believed that the sun would rise every day and I saw an eclipse, I might change my belief and say, oh, the sun's not rising today, right? But because I have faith, that deeper belief that can't be shaken, I know that even though there's an eclipse, that doesn't mean the sun won't rise, you see? And so that's the difference between faith and belief. So we need to move all of those limiting beliefs in that subjective material to a faith that all will be well, that this too shall pass, you see. And so that's what's going on in the subjective mind. And it's really important that we have an automation process there for things like driving. Remember when you first started driving, how you were focused on where to put your feet and making sure you look in the mirror and, checking everything all the time. And your attention was focused there instead of on the road and what's going on out there. And so the automation process happens in the subjective mind, where over and over again we have the same experience. It becomes automatic. And when it becomes automatic, then we no longer have to think about those things that we're doing. We are instead thinking about where we're going, how to get there, what the traffic is like, who's coming in from the right side, who's coming in from the left side, that kind of stuff. So that's important. However, in terms of spiritual creation, we oftentimes will create from that automation, so it never even touches the conscious mind. We never have a conscious thought about what we want to create. And so much of our creations are from that place. And that's what we want to recreate in a conscious way. We want to take those creations that we have subjectively created, where the V goes from subjective mind down to physical form and back up again, never actually touching conscious mind. We want to convert those experiences, those creations, into conscious creations that we do want. Because most of the ones that happen that are automated are things we don't want. Okay, so that's the process of creation. Think about it as a seed. You plant the seed in the top, into the soil in the middle. It becomes a flower at the bottom. And then eventually when fall comes, it goes back into the nothingness from which it came. That is the process of creation in a nutshell. So that's why we use that teaching symbol as our symbol to illustrate the process of creation. So this week, I'd like you to think about, not only focus your attention on the thing itself, which is God, but think about how you're using spiritual law. Think about how the love of God is flowing through you or not. Think about how many conditions we are placing on that love that make it impossible for us to receive that love and to give that love, to be that funnel. We're clogging up the funnel. It comes in and it moves out toward other people. Let's think about that this coming week, will you? All right, let's have a prayer. Well, so right now, let's turn my awareness to the infinite power, the infinite presence of God. To that place within us, within me, that knows beyond human understanding just how powerful God is. For God is all there ever has been, all there ever will be, and all there is here and now. And so that's where I find myself, in the midst of God, my very life, my very essence, my very being. It is who and what I am. And every thought, every action, every deed is guided and led by that one ancient wisdom of the ages that lives within me. That is God flowing through me. I know that same truth to be so for this precious team that God has loaned me. Because there is absolutely no place where God is not. And I know that it perfectly flows through this team. That everything that we do as a team is in service to that infinite power, that infinite presence of God that flows through us as an ancient wisdom, the wisdom of the ages that flows in us. So I know that same truth to be so for everyone here, whether you're joining us in real time or later on. For there is no place where God leaves off and we begin, or we each other leaves off and another begins. There is only one power, one presence, one life that lives itself through us. Atakios and all my brethren, we are all one. And it is in this awareness that I bless this coming week, because I do know that as we focus our attention both on God itself, the thing itself, and the way it works, the love and law of God, as we focus our attention there, anything that appears to be unlike that just dissolves back into the nothingness from which it came. And we are free to create a reality that is full of abundance and prosperity and health and love and peace and harmony. And the universe just fills us with those experiences. So every name that is in the ministry of prayer right now, whatever condition they are experiencing, I know right here that God is underneath that the power of God supersedes any of those conditions. I pull back the veil and reveal them here and now. I claim that good in their name as good and very good. I declare it done. And so my heart fills with gratitude, overflowing that this is done, and it is good and very good, and I just let it be. So it is. Amen. All right. It looks like Faith is actually staying unfrozen. So that's a good thing. Let me run through the offering affirmation, and then we'll have her sing before I do announcements. All right. So now is the time, our opportunity to receive your gifts, tithes, and offerings, and your opportunity to express your gratitude for that which you've already received in the physical reality, and that which you may have already created in the subjective mind that has not yet made it to that physical reality. I'm going to have you in just a moment go to www.oasiscsl.org, which is on the screen and in the comments. And about 2/3 down the page is an offering affirmation that I'm going to have you say with us. And then underneath that is a contribute now button. So let me talk just a little bit about what you're contributing to. We don't have a facility, so you're not paying for rent, you're not paying utilities, you're not really paying for salaries, you're not really paying for all of those kinds of things. What you're contributing to is this message of God getting out into the world to uplift and inspire each person of the world. We already have people in the UK and the Netherlands and Germany who are tuning into our service. And so what we would really like to do is reach the global world, the global earth, and uplift and inspire people everywhere, because God's message flowing through us is the power to do that, to actually influence lives and make lives better. So that's what you're contributing to. Keep that in mind as you are clicking that button. So right now, I'd like you to go with me, whether you're here in real time or you're here later on. Please go with me right now to www.oasiscsl.org. And about 2/3 down the page is the offering affirmation. Please say it with me now. This perfect gift is spirit and form, circulating and blessing all it touches. Freely I give and joyously I receive. And so it is. Hit that contribute now button and help God's message get to the world. Without further ado, here is Faith singing Now I Plant a Seed.
Thank you. First I plant a seed, first I plant a seed in the corner of my mind. It's a seed of love, a very special kind. First I plant a seed in the corner of my mind, and I water it with thoughts and loving kindness too. Then I watch it grow and grow and grow and grow. Then I watch it grow in everything I do. First I plant a seed in the corner of my mind. It's a seed of friendship, a very special kind. First I plant a seed in the corner of my mind. First I plant a seed in the corner of my mind, and I water it with thoughts of friends so dear and true. Then I watch it grow and grow and grow and grow. Then I watch it grow into all my friends like you. First I plant a seed in the corner of my mind. It's a seed of peace, a very special kind. First I plant a seed in the corner of my mind. Then I water it with thoughts of peace for everyone. Then I watch it grow and grow and grow and grow. Then I watch it grow for everyone. Peace for everyone, everyone in the sun.
Thank you so much. Like she said, if you know where that song comes from, who did it, and please, by all means, let us know, because we have been searching for it forever, and it would be nice to be able to have some music underneath there.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Faith. All right, and so please let's. I'm going to run through the announcements. I think I'm going to forgo the "I Am So Blessed" song today, because I am running behind. I get so long-winded when I talk about the basics, because I really want to drive the points home. We have this wonderful team of licensed practitioners from coast to coast who are our ministry of prayer, meaning they are the healing arm of the church. And we call our ministry of prayer the God Squad. And meaning that they take whatever prayer requests are there and they pray on them every day for a week. So if you would like prayer for something, post it on the comments. And if you don't want it to be public, you can always DM me or Faith, and we will make sure that it gets on the private facing group page on Facebook for the God Squad. So again, if you would like prayer for something, put it in the comments or place it on a DM and let us know. If you would like to participate in the God Squad, and you're not a licensed practitioner, but you are willing to pray every day for a week for those prayer requests using affirmative prayer. Remember, we don't beseech, we don't ask, we do affirmative prayer. If you're willing to do that, and you're willing to keep those requests confidential, meaning you don't even tell your spouse, your sister, anybody what's in the ministry of prayer, type yes in the comment section, and Faith will add you as a God Squad member just for that purpose. Our other God Squad members who are licensed practitioners also provide counseling, spiritual guidance, so to speak, not counseling, but spiritual guidance by appointment for a fee. So you would contact them either by Facebook or on our website and let us know that you would like an appointment with a practitioner, and they will set up some form of payment. Each practitioner does their own, whether that's PayPal or Venmo or Cash App or Wise. They will let you know how you can make payment, and then they'll set an appointment, and they'll reach out to you by video chat when your appointment time is. So take advantage of this loving service they provide. Our practitioners are par none. They are just the bomb, really, honestly. Speaking of which, Oz, excuse me, is available for our 1-minute miracle after the service. It's not a time for counseling, but it is a time where you can share with him whatever condition you are experiencing, and he will stop, drop, and pray with you right then and there. You reach out to him through video chat. If he doesn't answer right away, chances are he's on with someone else, so just give him a few minutes and try back again. But this is really something to get you out of your funk, so to speak, and get you creating the life you would like to have. All right. If you would like to be part of our online community, type more in the comments section. We will add you to our public-facing group page on Facebook, which allows you to get information about classes and other events and that kind of thing before the general public gets them. Speaking of classes, again, type more there and she'll get you put on that page. Speaking of classes, we are starting October 6th. It's a Thursday night from 7 to 10. It is a 10-week class for 3 hours a week. It's $30 per class for the first 5 classes. Once you reach that halfway point, we ask that you pay the additional $150. So it's the total of it is $300. If you're auditing, meaning you've taken it before, it's only $30 for the entire 10-week course. So how you're going to do this is you're going to go on PayPal like we had you go on for your contribution. And you're going to put, there's a little place where you can put a memo kind of thing. You're going to put foundations. And that way we know that it's a class fee. We ask that you pay $30 prior to the class. We need to know that people are registered. So you need to let us know that you want to take the class. We won't do the class unless we have more than one person. It's really hard to have a class of one because we rely so heavily on the conversation that goes back and forth. Otherwise, you get my point of view. That's it. And you always get my point of view every Sunday. So I prefer to have some discussion in the class. So please let us know if you're interested in taking it. Those of you who are in Europe, I am really well aware that that is the middle of the night for you. So what I would suggest is let me know if you want to take a class, and we can do one in the afternoon for you so that it's more like your evening. And let's see, what did that be? If we wanted to do 7, it'd be 11 o'clock Mountain Time. I'd be willing to offer that so that you can have it from 7 to 10 your time. Okay. All right. Just let us know. You can do that by DM and just let us know that you're interested in taking the class. All right. Brooks and Bailey. These beads that I'm wearing, these mala beads that I'm wearing, are from Brooks and Bailey. They're amethyst. They are $60. They have everything from $30 up, depending on what gem they're made out of. All the proceeds go to Rocky Mountain Lab Rescue. You can reach them through brooksandbailey0307@gmail.com. Excuse me, or through their Facebook page. I do try to post whenever they're having, they're at one of those events where they have their stuff. I try to repost that for them and for you, so you can go see them so that you're aware. Mala beads have 108 beads on them. The Buddhists and Hindus use them by moving one bead at a time for each mantra that they say. I say you do 100 affirmations a day. It's a great way to count them off. So you just count the beads, 100 of them. Anyway, their bracelets have 54, so you can buy a bracelet as well. And then we have Faith.
And please check out my metaphysical shop. We have intention jars as well as bath salts and kits for you to make your own intention jars. You can order through Instagram and Facebook. So please check that out. We would love to get you some stuff. For Instagram and Facebook is at the Mystic Brew 303. Also follow us for any updates on any upcoming events. I do hope to be doing some soon. So please check that out and follow us.
Okay. And then we have an adjunct to that, which is Angel Renee has an Etsy store where she sells these intention candles and this tea bag that you can put in your bath so that you can focus on your intention. The herbs that are in there, the smells of it help you to focus, bring clarity and focus. All right. We love to support those who support us. So we always want to mention Elaine Silver, Reverend Fairy Elaine Silver. Her website, she's not able to update it to tell you how to pay. So she travels around the country singing, and she always has CDs in her trunk. So you would go to her website, figure out which CD you want, reach out to her by, email, and she'll tell you how you can pay her, and then she will send it to you in the mail. She's very good about that. So check out her website. Also check out Karen Drucker's website. Hers does work. And you can buy it by the song, the CD, the songbook. Some of the songbook pages have American Sign Language in them. So if you want to learn to sign something, Faith has done a couple of those songs, and we really love it when she does that. So check her out, buy from them. Like I said, we couldn't do this service without the music, and we couldn't do the music without them. So definitely check them out. Check out our website at www.oasis.csl.org. There you're going to find video sermons of the last 3 years, audio sermons from years prior. And, you can check out our church family. We have events there, pictures of picnics and my ordination and Reverend Lynn's ordination. And it's a good way to get to know us as well as listen to the sermons. You can also find my sermons on YouTube and SoundCloud. YouTube has the video sermons and SoundCloud has the audio sermons, and it's under S. Tucker. Just remember, S. Tucker. All right. We are going to bypass the closing song because I have run over a few minutes and I don't want to hold you any longer than necessary. So we're just going to let Oz pray us out.
I used to love it like that.
I know right here, right now, that God is present within us, in us, as us, and all around us, in all we see and all we do. And its processes are always working through us. And I know that the blessings of God are perfect and that we are all one and whole and complete in that greater presence and that greater surrounding force. I give thanks that this is so, and I let it be. And so it is.
And so it is. Thank you all for being here. I know there's 1,000 things you could be doing on a Sunday morning. We are so blessed that you are here with us. I want to remind you that we are here every Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Mountain Time. Join us for the next 2 Sundays for the rest of the series. And go back and watch the thing itself if you weren't here last week. I guarantee you can change your life using these principles, which is what those classes are all about. So thank you for being here again. We love you. See you next week. In the meantime, stay safe. Wear a mask. See ya. Maybe. Oh, dear. There we go.